It is time to learn how to drop gumballs into the cup you just modeled. Start by placing a box above the cup, scatter some points onto its surface, then copy spheres to the points to get a nice collection of gumballs. You will then use attributes such as color and p-scale to add variety to the gumballs. The key is that you leave yourself open to the possibility of changes down the line. Okay, so let's go C, create, geometry, and let's get a sphere. Press enter to place it at the origin. Now you notice we jumped back up to the object level. Let's put that back down to there, where we have a second object, which is where we have our sphere. Now if we could press I to dive it down into that, we can set the sphere to a uniform scale of 0.4. There we go. Now let's press C, create, geometry, and box. And again press enter. Notice we've again jumped back to the object level, and we've now got a sphere object and a box object. Now this one we're going to change its size to 0.75, 0.5, 0.75. Oh wait, sorry, we didn't want 0.5 there, we want 5 there. This creates a big tube. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go tab, match. Now we can see how match size isn't there, and the reason for that is we're at the object level. So what we need to do is press I to go in and go tab match size. So some tools exist at the object level, some of them here at the geometry level. Double click onto this, press enter, and this time we're going to put this down to minimum like we did before. We're going to do an offset of 3. And what that will do is place it above the ground. And that's perfect because we're going to put all of our spheres up here and then drop them down. Now let's go back to the object level. Make sure that nothing is selected. So we've got nothing selected here. And we're going to do modify and copy to points. So it prompts me for the geometry to copy. So I'm going to do the sphere. And where do we want to put the geometry on? Here. And there we go. So now we have a sphere copied right now to essentially the 4 points at the corners of the box. Let's go into 4 to press primitive mode just so we can see the spheres a little bit better. Now, when we do a copy like this, we want to do something called pack an instance. That will be a little more efficient. And that treats now every sphere as a primitive. And what we want to do as well is over here, you see how it's only doing 0 to 7, so it's picking those 4. If we add more topology here, it's still only going to pick up those first 8 points. So we're going to delete that. So now as we add more points, everything's going to be included when we make the copies. So we're going to put a node down here, tab scatter, and we're going to place that down. And before we wire it in, we want to create a force count of 60. Okay? And we're going to take this and move it right into here. And there we go. Let's take these, press A. Let's line those up nicely. Okay, so there we go. We've got a bunch of spheres sitting up there ready to come down. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this down, and we're going to go tab and randomize. We can type randomize, and we see the first one is attribute randomize. And we're going to click that and place that there. And as you see, it takes the attribute of color and randomizes it, so we get different colors on all of the gumballs. So that's perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to take this one, and we're going to alt drag to make a copy and place that in here. Now this currently has the same attributes, but we're going to change this to p-scale. And p-scale is now going from 0 to 1. It's only this first value here. And we want to change that to 0.4 so they don't get too small. So that gives us a nice set of options. So we could do 0.6, whatever, but it gives us the options that we need. So let's make sure we're at frame 1, and what we'd like to do now is begin to do our simulation. So we're going to go down to here. We're going to go Tab, RBD, Bullet Solver, and we're going to place that down. And we're going to wire the copy to points into there. Set the display flag. Now, under collision, on that node, we're going to set the ground plane to a ground plane. And under visualization, we're going to turn off the ground so we don't see it. So it doesn't mean it's not there, we just don't see it. Okay, and now we can press play, and the gumballs fall, hit the ground, and go off. And that's good, not bad. But what's happening is we are not getting the gumballs going into the cup. And that's because it has not been included in the simulation yet. So we're going to go back up to here. We're going to take the cup geometry that we have here, and we're going to go to the Modify Shelf and type Extract. When we do that, it creates this Object Merge node. So let's go to here. Let's take the sphere object that was all the spheres and this new there, and we're going to combine those. And that goes into this new object. And we're going to call this gumballs. And we're going to go into here. And this is not exactly what we want. We don't need that merge there. We do need this object merge. Now if you mouse over the inputs of the bullet solver here, you'll notice that the fourth one here says collision geometry. So we can wire that into the fourth collision geometry one and press display. We're going to go to the display options here, or the animation options here, and we're just going to end our animation at 72. We're going to keep it fairly quick. That'll give us enough to figure out the simulation. So we're going from 0 to 72. Perfect. And then we're going to press play. And we're a little bit better. It's hitting the cup, but it's outside the cup. So that's not exactly what we want. So we want to go back, and on this RBD solver node, we go to collision. We see that it says convex hull. We want to do concave. And if we want to maybe have a little bit bouncier, so we're going to change that to 0.8. Press play, and now we're filling the cup up with the gumballs, and only a couple of them are falling out. And that's great. And we could play around with bounce and friction and get it to behave a different. Oh, but notice how it's going so fast. Press this little time thing here. We'll keep things at a proper 24 frames a second, which suits what's going on. Okay, so we're going to go back to frame 1, and we're going to go into the network that we have. We're going to go back to the box here, and we're going to change its size in Y to 10. So that's going to create a lot more, bigger size. We're going to go to the scatter. We're going to change that to 200. And if you come here, you'll see, okay, we've got a lot more of these things happening. So now once we have that, we can go back to the RBD bullet solver down here, and we can press play. And there we go. Now we've got all of these falling and going off, and that's great. Now, when the timeline turns blue, it means that you've cached what you've done, but you've only cached it temporarily. It's not really cached. So what we want to do is we want to right-click on here. We're going to go File, Cache. And this is a node that will allow us to store all of these gumballs on disk. So we're going to turn off version, and we're going to change this to gumballs. It's going to create a BGO file, which is a geometry file. And once we've got that, we can go save to disk. Now this is going to be pretty quick because we already cached it here, so it didn't need to do a lot of thinking. And what you see up here is that after it does the save, it loads from disk. So we now have a stored cache coming off of disk that we can scrub through, that works a little more quickly, and that's perfect. Now, if we make any changes to the simulation, change some of the forces, change the number of gumballs, etc., we would have to recache, and we will probably do that in an upcoming step. what we want to do now is take the pieces that we have and set them up for rendering. So if we go here, we've got the cup and the gumballs. We're going to take those into a lighting context and render, and we'll be able to see this all rendered. Okay, see you in the next step.